motivating and encouraging them in a little different way,
Mm-hmm.
such as with your level of activity.
Right.
So
That's right.
are we just, are we just allowing them to do that and encouraging that for them, but we're not necessarily doing it?
That's right. Yeah, the old adage that says, kids will, or anybody,
Mm-hmm.
will often learn from watching us,
Mm-hmm.
do as I do,
Mm-hmm.
not just as I say,
Yeah.
that they'll learn more from watching us than actually what we're saying to them. So if they see us, outside, they're going to be outside. If they
Exactly
see
right.
us
Yeah.
working, my little girls, it's so
Mm-hmm.
it's so fun. And sometimes I have to admit, they get in the way. You stay-at-home moms that are listening, you can understand. If I
Uh-huh.
don't get out to the Y that day, and I'm like, I gotta get my workout, so you go in the den, and my girls they're right at my feet trying to
Uh-huh.
lift up the 5 pound dumbbells, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, you can
They're
have the 1 pound dumbbell, and I'm doing my kicks, kick, and they're getting in the way. I'm like, move, you're gonna get kicked.
Yeah,
But
I
it's
remember those.
great because
Yeah.
they're doing it with me, and that's really fun and awesome to see.
It is great, and again, I think we can often downplay or maybe not see the importance of us setting the tone in that respect for our kids,
Hmm.
and because what we don't want is we don't want our kids growing up and not necessarily seeing us as the prime motivators for activity.
Right.
So who are they going to learn that from? Are they going to learn it from their friends who are inactive? Maybe then they start to gravitate toward the video games, and they start to gravitate toward all those things, the Facebooks and the things that promote sedentary lifestyle.
Mm.
So it's really important that we just not kind of set the example, but that we help to combat what's happening
Right.
naturally as a result of how our culture is going. So I think that is important for parents, and we all know our children pick up habits. They pick up little words that we say. I mean, imagine how many times you heard your kids say a word that you say. You think, oh my goodness, she is actually listening to me,
Hopefully, it's a good word.
Yeah, I'm like, so where did you learn that word from? You said it. I said it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so we know they're watching us. They watch us constantly.
Hmm.
So what better way to have them see you than to see you actually being healthy and doing things
Hmm.
positive for your health?
If you're just tuning in this morning, we're talking about overweight and obesity in America.
Did you all know, and actually I want to give y'all some statistics here about obesity and the growing concern with obesity in the United States here. Um, I was on the Centers for Disease Control's website, and as far as statistics that they have right now on obesity and overweightness in our youth, they are citing in terms of 6 to 19-year-olds. So we're talking about children age 6 all the way up to 19. Basically, the statistics are that 16% of them are considered overweight or obese at this particular time. And actually, that's a number that has tripled since 1980. Okay?
Wow.
And in addition to that they're citing another 15% of children in that category who are at risk of becoming overweight or obese. So we're talking about
Hmm.
30% of kids that they're keeping an eye on right now.
Mm.
And so basically what that means is that as we look at healthcare and healthcare related costs, that group is actually contributing to that statistic.
Wow.
And years and years back, that may not have been the case. It may have been more dealing with the adult population. Now we're seeing more and more of those costs coming from even that younger group now,
Wow, yeah,
which is
that's a
interesting.
really sobering statistic because, again, as a mom, I think, okay, I've got my work cut out for me. I really need to stay
Mhm.
on top of things.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Listen, listeners, if you're listening out there, we would love to hear from you, your questions, your comments. Our call in number here at the WIMO station is 678-963-5482. Give us a call. Tell us about maybe what you do with your kids to try to stay active and healthy so
That
that
would be
so
great.
that obesity and overweightness is not an issue in your family.
That would be
678
great.
963 5482.
Now, let me give you another statistic, and this one I thought was pretty amazing. When we looked at overweight adolescents in America, if a child is considered overweight or obese for that matter, they have a 70% chance of becoming overweight or obese adults. So we're talking about kids in that 6 to 19 year age group. They have a 70% chance of becoming overweight or obese as adults. And not only that, but they said that actually increases to 80% if they have one or more parents that are overweight or obese. So again, we look at that number increasing to 80%. Those are pretty amazing numbers. 80%
Wow.
of those kids in that age group, I mean, essentially that's going to be an uphill battle that they're fighting
Wow.
when they become adults. And so, and again, to put the link there between them and their parents,
Hmm.
that tells you something.
Yeah.
And that tells you the impact that parents can have on their children.
Absolutely.
I mean, I remember growing up in, in our house, we basically had a lot of Southern cooking.
Hmm.
There wasn't a whole big concern for eating. There wasn't a whole big concern for eating healthy. And that was something I had to learn as I grew up,
Hmm.
getting into this field. But I do remember just, having the fried foods and the rich foods. I mean, health wasn't a concern for us.
Right, and when you
And
did have the
yeah.
vegetables, they
Mhm.
had pork and oil and
Exactly
everything
right. They
added
had the
to
fat
it.
back in there and all kinds of stuff.
That's right.
And so I looked at all that, and I didn't know. And
Hmm.
whenever you're young, you don't see the implications of the
Right.
foods that you're eating. But our parents, they're the ones who are responsible for those types of things. And so as an adult now, I'm more mindful of that for
Right.
my kids. But I just remember, eating that way. Now being an adult, a lot of those things that we did growing up, these are things that I'm just like, that's a struggle. It's a struggle to break some of those habits that
Yeah.
y'all have developed growing up.
Absolutely. And parents out there, we tend to think that our kids never listen to us, They do. They do, and they learn a lot of things from us that
Hmm.
and again, the things that we don't talk about a lot, they're learning from us. So, it's important for us to, be an example of health for them. Oh, and we have a caller on the line. Good morning. Thank you
Uh,
for calling.
Good morning, and I think y'all are doing a great job.
Thank
Oh,
An
you.
thank
Can
you.
you
absolute great
can you
job.
give
We
us your
appreciate
first
it.
name and tell us where you're calling from, please?
What? Oh, well, I'm Ann, and I'm from here, Winder.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay.
Thanks, Anne.
Nice to meet you,
But
Ann.
hey, and listen, I have a question just that I have heard through I don't know popular literature or myth or whatever. But this is certainly off topic. But is there any mathematical validity to the saying that 100 calories per pound, meaning that if a lady wanted to weigh 120 pounds with reasonable activity, that would be a 1,200 calorie diet, or 150. I'm not even sure I'm making my question make sense. But
Okay, so are you asking, for instance, if you're a woman who weighs a certain amount of weight, like you mentioned, 120 pounds, and she was trying to perhaps lose some weight or trying to find a correct amount of calories that she should consume?
right, or like a 150-pound person should sustain on. Well, wait. I guess okay. Pretend like you were a 200-pound person,
Right.
wanted to get down to 150. That's a 1,500 calorie diet.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, essentially, like when you look at weight loss or even weight management for that matter, you're trying to maintain a certain amount of weight. But let's assume that we had a 200-pound person who was trying to get down to 150 pounds. Essentially, what we would have to do, because each person is different, and whenever you look at the formulas, they can sometimes be helpful and sometimes they cannot be helpful. Sometimes they can recommend more calories than you actually are taking in, and you're actually trying to lose weight. So
Right.
it really does depend on each individual. So oftentimes what we will do is